Inevitable battle with Muto Prime, and of course the Saiyans. Everyone is decided to grow stronger, including Goku himself, since he saw the power of Godzilla and that he presumed. He thought Godzilla was incredibly strong, but now he doesn't think that even he can compare to Godzilla right now. Godzilla, of course, decides to continue to absorb radiation and continue to grow stronger. Of course, one decided to buy most of the reactive weapons or reactive places, and practically introduce them to Godzilla, and eventually Godzilla was able to spot them and freely absorb as much energy as he needed to. Godzilla, of course, would have thanked Bulma as he continued to grow stronger. Godzilla, of course, would be able to increase his height. His previous height, of course, would have been around 110 meters, but eventually, after doing much more nuclear plants, his height would be able to increase to 125 meters, being a lot higher than he would have been before. Godzilla, of course, being much more powerful than before, would be able to handle most of the Titans by himself, but little that he knew is that his distant rival was about to get even more powerful thanks to a certain Emperor of the Universe. But that'll be for a little time. Of course, now Goku and the others would have decided to train and eventually learn about planet Namek and how Frieza will be going there, thanks to Vegeta informing them. Of course, Vegeta was kind of intimidated by Godzilla because of his immense power and strength, and Godzilla would have killed him if he did not give them information. Since Godzilla knows that Vegeta is an incredibly powerful threat, he wants to kill him right on the spot, but knowing that Goku does believe that he can change, Godzilla decides to give Vegeta one chance. If he tries anything, he will kill him. And Vegeta decides to not even provoke Godzilla, since he has shown the power of the Titans before. Vegeta, a long time ago, when he was a kid, saw one Titan, which is similar to Godzilla, but this Titan was much more different. It had crystals on his shoulders and he was able to fly. He looked almost like Godzilla, but his skin was much more darker blue, and his eyes were crimson yellow. His eyes were incredibly powerful, as he was able to annihilate planets with ease, and he was able to fly through space even faster than a space spot could. All the Saiyans, even the entire armada of Saiyans, could not even defeat that type of beast. And that beast earned its name as Space Godzilla. Space Godzilla in this timeline is the brother of Godzilla, his older brother. Both Godzilla and Space Godzilla were the sons of Dagon, which Dagon in the past was known as one of the strongest titans besides Shimu herself. Space Godzilla, of course, had to earn this title and eventually was able to absorb much more radiation by just going to the core of the Earth itself. With this power, of course, he was able to absorb from the Earth, he was able to grow even stronger and evolve, able to absorb and, of course, eat crystals throughout the Earth in his prehistoric era. With this, of course, Space Godzilla was able to travel through our planets and eventually destroy most of them, being known as the destroyer of civilizations. And Vegeta would have also informed him about this, but Godzilla already knew this because his brother has never come back to Earth in almost 10 million years. Of course, you were able to practically form a telepathic link with Godzilla, and Godzilla was able to talk to Goku through his thoughts, as Godzilla would explain his history with his brother Space. Eventually, they would have learned that Godzilla and Space were brothers before in the past, with both of them still being juvenile Godzillas, and both were trained with one another so they can increase their powers. At a young age, Godzilla was much more superior to his brother, but eventually, after Space grew stronger and absorbed much more radiation in him, thanks to going to the core of the Earth, he was able to evolve and grow stronger, and eventually overpower Godzilla in their previous fight. It was even before he actually met Beerus, but he does not mention the name Beerus to anyone else, but he just said that he fought an incredibly powerful opponent who was able to defeat him in the past, which is almost a couple of millions of years ago. But he cannot remember clearly, but he does remember his face. But he decides not to privately tell them, since he knows that most likely it will cause some issues or may even provoke them. So Godzilla decides to probably keep this to himself, since he does not trust him fully, but he does trust him with a little bit of information. Now, of course, is pretty excited to probably test his strength against Godzilla after he's fully healed. Godzilla decides to wait for Goku, and eventually after Goku is fully healed, due to his injuries being much more lesser, but still being pretty fatal, Goku is able to gain a Zenkai boost. And with this boost giving his power level to increase to 30,000, and his Kaioken level is also increased because of Goku actually from doing mental training while also keeping himself healed. With this, of course, Goku would be able to now increase the Kaioken multiplier to times 5 without actually straining his body as much. But even with this, even when Godzilla was still suppressed, he's easily able to overpower Goku by himself, having no difficulty while doing so. He of course continues to train and increase his power with Godzilla training him. Godzilla can tell that Goku is much more focused on techniques, while his base power is not strong enough. Goku's been focusing more on the Kaioken than ever, but not actually focused on his base form, which is his previous goal before. Goku realizes that Godzilla is actually right. He must continue to increase his base, but he can finally tell that Godzilla is also increasing his base by just amping his power a lot more. He just has those radiation to increase his base, which is just normal for the Gojira species to do that. Even Bowman confirms that since Godzilla is actually grown stronger throughout the years. Godzilla and Goku will continue to train. Godzilla was able to learn a little bit of martial arts from Goku, and eventually able to perform with a little bit of difficulty, but he's still able to perform it a little bit better, with his mostly fighting style being that of a crocodile and much more juvenile version of it. So yeah. Of course, this Godzilla is growing much stronger and actually much more capable fighter than he was before, thanks to Goku practically teaching him some other techniques. Of course, Godzilla could not pick up on some normal key techniques, but he's able to learn how to practically utilize it through his atomic breath. He can practically split his atomic breath into practically 2 or 3, but they will be still as powerful as his previous atomic breath. They will just be split into 3 pieces, but each piece will be containing the same power as his normal atomic breath. He can also practically mid, so his atomic breath can bounce from one place to another, and he can detonate it with just him thinking about it, which Godzilla was able to perform. Goku and the others will also able to grow strong and eventually decide to go to Namek, but since Godzilla could not practically travel through space, he was practically stuck on Earth to protect it. But Godzilla did wish Goku good luck on his travel, while he continued to train and increase his power. Goku wished Godzilla good luck, as Godzilla would have nodded. And eventually Goku would have gone to Namek and eventually decided to continue his training. Goku would have used gravity training and increased his power. Godzilla actually wanted to try gravity training, but as there was nothing big enough for him to practically use as a gravity training, he could not do anything but just train with Vegeta after he has done gravity training. Which of course Godzilla kind of hated because he did not like Vegeta as much than Goku, so he had to practically endure it. Goku of course would continue to train on his way to Namek. Bulma of course with the others with Gohan and Krillin also going there before Goku, were able to arrive on Namek. A little bit early than the original, so yeah. Of course, Godzilla will continue to train with Vegeta, and eventually was able to grow stronger, and eventually increase his base to be around 150,000. But even with this, Godzilla was still stronger than him. Godzilla was also able to regenerate, but he was also realizing that the more he actually fights Vegeta, the stronger he feels that his body is growing. It could be something that is between him and those Saiyans, but he decides to ignore it, since he thinks that it's just nothing. Godzilla continues to grow stronger and eventually with much more radiation thanks to Bulma practically able to buy him much more nuclear plants. So he's able to absorb as many as he wants without actually causing that much of a scuffle about it. Of course, Godzilla does face Tiamat and eventually is able to push her away from the ice layer and eventually go away. Of course, Tiamat would then go in to where she probably would have found her ice area and eventually decided to practically go there so he can absorb much more radiation and grow stronger. Godzilla of course will continue his role as the king of the monsters to practically keep all the Titans in check so he can make sure that they are not causing trouble to nature or humanity itself. He's practically the bringer of balance, so that's what he's doing. He's balancing things out, which of course does continue to train even when Godzilla is not around, so he can increase his power. Goku by the time of Rhino and Namek would have reached a staggering base power level of 1 million. Because of Goku's continuous training and also motivation to surpass Godzilla, Goku has continuously to grow stronger and eventually increase his Kaioken level by mastering his ki control even better than his base form. Of course, Goku now can use Kaioken times 10, 20, and even 30 if he's pushed to a limit. Of course, Goku is going to be stronger and continues to go as well. Eventually, when the arrive on Namek, most of the events will go the same, but since Goku is much stronger, he will easily able to overpower Ginyu, and Goku will not actually get his body stolen by Ginyu, so he's able to dodge the attack. But Goku is still exhausted thanks to our Kaioken, so he'll most likely able to take a sense of being get a little bit of a Zenkai, but still a pretty good one. Push his power level to 4 million, which is a pretty good average amount. Gohan's power level would have most likely increased to around 1.2 million, and Krillin's power level will be around 750,000. Eventually, when their potentials hit their peaks, Gohan will be at 3.5 million, and Krillin will be at 1.1 million, which will be pretty impressive, since they're both more much stronger than counterparts. Of course, when Frieza does arrive, he probably decides to introduce his new companion in a way. Goku is of course confused with what Frieza means, but then he hears a massive roar, and he then sees a giant dragon with 3 heads, being Ghidorah. Ghidorah roars as his alpha call can be heard. Godzilla is able to hear him, Ghidorah, as he then realizes that Ghidorah is on Namek. Godzilla then decides to practically use the ability that Goku gave him, which is telepathy, so he can practically connect to the other Z-Fighters. Talking to Piccolo as he tells them they must use the Dragon Ball 7 to apply Namek. Piccolo is of course confused with what Godzilla means, but Godzilla explains that he doesn't have time to talk. He must practically help Goku because his rival is on the other planet. Of course, Piccolo decides to not spare any time and quickly gathers the Dragon Balls and wishes for Godzilla to go to Namek. Shino's is easily able to grant the wish, and eventually Godzilla is sent to Namek. Before Ghidorah can practically blast Goku with his gravity beam, Godzilla is able to practically appear and block the attack with his dorsal plates, with Godzilla telling Ghidorah that he's not gonna let him hurt one of his companions. Ghidorah just laughs and he tells Godzilla that he's incredibly strong. He's much stronger than he was before, but so has he. As Ghidorah then roared, his skin becomes darker. Godzilla is of course shocked as Ghidorah evolves, seemingly as he's grown stronger because of it. Ghidorah explains that he was able to absorb a piece of Frieza so he can practically evolve. With this, of course, he was able to become much stronger, much more powerful, and thanks to this, he's now much more powerful. Frieza tells Ghidorah to not be cocky, but Ghidorah tells him to shut up since he's lived much more longer than him. Frieza, of course, slightly flinches, but he has to keep his cool. But of course, Frieza remembers the previous encounter he had with Ghidorah. With Ghidorah, of course, in the past, traveling space, so he can practically conquer and destroy planets, so he can absorb much more energy from their stars. Since practically he was a star eater, he can gather his energy from stars, so it was normal for him to practically want to destroy the planet, so he can absorb the stars later. Of course, Frieza would have found about Ghidorah and him destroying practically some of his places. And eventually, Frieza was able to challenge Ghidorah, but Ghidorah was much stronger than Frieza. Frieza was pushed to even using his final form, yet this was still not enough, as Ghidorah was able to practically empty himself by just absorbing suns. Due to Ghidorah practically not being intervened nor going to actually Earth in his timeline, he was able to absorb so many stars that he has grown so stronger. With Ghidorah in base has a power of around 100 billion, and he is already stronger than Frieza. Frieza of course decided to practically obey Ghidorah for now, and eventually Ghidorah went into a piece of Frieza. Of course Frieza decided to give his tail, and eventually he was able to regenerate after some time. When Ghidorah grew stronger, he was able to acquire Frieza's DNA. Growing stronger because of it, and eventually gained his own form, which he decided to call it his Kaiser form. This Kaiser form was able to grant Ghidorah much more better durability and much more increased power boost, but he was also able to acquire another ability with it, being absorption, life absorption, which means that he can practically siphon the life energy of any living being or creature, no matter what race they are. He can practically do that with ease. Godzilla, of course, has grown immensely stronger. His power has a bomb bot for him. Godzilla now has a power level in his base of around 75 billion. Godzilla knows that he must go all out, so he then goes into his charged up state. With his dorsal base going as Godzilla's body goes as well. Going as he becomes his supercharged state. In this, Godzilla reaches a power level of 100 trillion. With this, of course, this is an incredibly big amp for Godzilla as he then thrashes against Ghidorah. Ghidorah is pushed back and he was surprised by Godzilla's incredible power. But Ghidorah just laughs and he starts to morph. Godzilla is of course confused as Ghidorah would then be covered in black smoke. Ghidorah then walked out as he will now have one head while his others will be in two pieces on his shoulder. Of course, Godzilla will be in shock as Kaiser explains that this is a form he was able to acquire thanks to Frieza's DNA of the Frost Demons. He calls this his Monster X state. In this form, he's much more agile and much stronger. Godzilla can actually feel that in this state Ghidorah can actually match him in power. Godzilla is worried that he might not be able to defeat Ghidorah, but he has to give his best. So Godzilla then charges against Ghidorah as both then clash with one another, seeming to be equal in strength. Godzilla continues to battle Ghidorah as their battle continues to rage on. Goku and Frieza do the same as both of them are actually stronger than their counterparts, so the battle is mostly even. Eventually, because of the current, Goku awakens the Super Saiyan form, but due to Goku being more stronger and actually fully healed this time, Goku in base has a power level of 10 million, and in his Super Saiyan form, he reaches a power level of 500 million. Whereas of course, Goku starts to overpower Frieza, with Frieza only having a full power, only having a power level of around 150 million. Of course, Frieza tells Ghidorah they must work together so he can practically defeat both the Saiyan and Godzilla. Ghidorah, of course, is irritated by Frieza telling him what to do, but he knows that he is telling the truth since Godzilla is equal to him. So maybe adding up a little bit of power might actually help him. So Ghidorah tells Frieza to use his lightning at him. Of course, Frieza is confused, but Ghidorah just tells him to do it. Frieza without hesitation does it as Ghidorah is able to practically absorb his electricity and eventually convert it to more power. With this, of course, he's able to grant Frieza a little bit of a boost and eventually able to overpower Goku. Goku Godzilla approaches to the brink of their limit as they know that they might be able to hold on. And Godzilla knows that his body is practically reaching its current limits, and he is about to explode if he is not to release this all energy or not do anything about it. Before Godzilla can take any further, Mothra will appear and able to practically stun both Ghidorah and Frieza before they can do any lasting damage. Mothra is able to practically communicate to both Goku and Godzilla, so that she will practically sacrifice herself so he can give them just enough of a chance and boost so they can increase their power. Godzilla says to Mothra not do it, this is too dangerous, and he does not know if that would even work. This technique that they have performed in the past may not work today. But Mothra decides to practically do it either way. Godzilla tries to stop her, but Mothra is too fast for Godzilla to practically react. He then takes one of Ghidorah's beams to right in the face. She is then disintegrated into ashes as Godzilla roars, both in sadness and pain, but mostly in rage. Godzilla then absorbs some of the particles and gives some to Goku. Goku feels his power increasing as his once golden hair starts to become orange in color. Godzilla starts to glow as he then goes into his thermal state, while Goku ascends to something of a thermal state himself. Going into a form that is similar to Godzilla's thermal state, he is actually not as heatable as his, but it gives Goku a big of an amp. Goku's eyes became green instead of blue, as one's golden hair becomes orange yellowish. With this, of course, both Godzilla and Goku roar with power. Goku's power increasing immensely, and Godzilla does the same. Godzilla uses an atomic pulse, while Goku is beside him. When Goku is not affected by a pulse, thanks to Mothra's essence. Because both of them were able to overpower their opponents. Godzilla is able to annihilate Ghidorah as Ghidorah screams in pain as he is defeated. While Frieza also screams in pain as he is brutally beaten down by Goku. Goku uses a blast to annihilate Frieza. Not sparing him this time, knowing that he must not spare an opponent, even if it means if he has a chance. Eventually, most of the events that happen in the original timeline will go the same as the original. With Godzilla eventually returning with Goku, as both of them were exhausted because of it. But they were able to practically arrive on the Yardra just in a nick of time. Goku was practically able to use the last of his energy to practically carry Godzilla to a ship so they can practically escape just in a nick of time. Of course, with this, both of them were able to arrive on planet Yardra and eventually were taken care of the Yardranians. But for now, this is the end for this part. I'll see you guys in the next one. Sayonara.